Hello. So today I want to talk to you about making free dirt, creating compost. It's one of the cheapest things you could do. It's good for, nature if you're into that stuff. But it saves you a lot of money on soil. It's really good fertilizer. And instead of going to like yard waste and getting a bunch of bags, you could actually repurpose it for your garden. So today I'm going to talk to you how to make a compost bin really cheap. And instead of spending hundreds of dollars on a compost bin, all you could do is buy one of these 55-gallon drums. As you can see, we just emptied it. 55-gallon trash bins. Drill a few holes in it, and you slowly start to fill it up with stuff. Now, I like to do layers. I have two, so that way it's not always the same stuff. So I'll do grass clippings. I kind of let my grass go a little bit big. Then it's a hot day in Florida. I let the grass grow. I cut it, I pick it up, and that is perfect to fill in the bin. And if I don't use it for the bin, what I end up using it for, especially if it's really green, I end up giving it to my chickens. They really like eating the eggs. They really like eating the grass. If I don't let the grass grow pretty high, and if I cut it low when it's really low, I end up collecting a lot of dirt. So it doesn't do really well for me. So the best thing to do is I let the grass grow a little bit higher, and it makes a really good, it collects just the grass, and I get to throw it in the compost bin. As you can see, the neighbors gave us a bunch of mangoes that fell, and so they're pretty much eating it. It's a good way to feed them some good food too. They'll eat it, poop it out, and create really good dirt for us. So that's really good. And then, we'll scoop that in. We'll also add that to our compost, and we'll mix it around. I mean, it's good for the bananas. It's good for everything. Usually, we would either put it on top of the, like the top layer of our pots, our plant pots that we have. And then as you water it, it kind of comes down. We usually do it that way. Or we would clear out a land. As you see, I have some tarp on the ground. We would clear out a ground, and we would add that layer. There we go. We would add that layer of compost to the ground and then kind of till it in. Because, I have a decent sized lot of land, and we tried to grow on it. We did the cardboard method, but it's sand. We have sand. So, and I've only been here about a year, so I have some areas where I'm really hoping it turns. We've laid stuff like grass clippings. We laid leaves. We kind of spread it out, hoping the ground will turn into nice, decent soil. But at the moment, it's sand, and if you don't put something over it, the sun will literally like roast the soil, and it'll turn into sand. You see on my little flower bed here, it's like right in the sun. Like I would say maybe a month ago, it was a dark brown or black soil, and if you look at it now, it's starting to turn into sand. That's how brutal the Florida sun is. It really scorches the land. Weeds will grow, great anywhere, but not plants. Plants are a little bit more delicate. Vegetables are delicate. I have a cucumber plant, which I don't know, it's kind of dying. I think it was just in a little thing but we're adding some compost to it, some leftover compost, hoping that the nutrients of everything, all those organic stuff, will give it some vitamins, some fertilizer to it, in what you would say. But I mean, anything from the kitchen scraps. I mean, you have, cores from your apples, the shells, the banana peelings, rotten fruits and vegetables. Toss it in there. Leaves, if you're raking leaves, put that also inside of your compost bin. I have this little spinner with me. It's pretty awesome. I don't have enough compost to do it. I actually dumped all my compost out. But this little spinner here, you dig it inside the compost, you twist it, and you pull it up. And it's a great way to mix, because you want air to go in there. If you were to buy one of these fancy compost bins, they're like maybe 20 gallons for like $150, $200. If you get the big ones, I mean, you're spending almost $300 for a compost bin, where you could get one that's $30, maybe $30 at Walmart or Lowe's. And buy one of these aerators. They cost me, I think, about $35. It's really sturdy. Just you toss this inside there, just spin it and pull it. And I also do that for this recycle bin. That's where my sand is, my dirt, my good soil. I get also from my chicken coop, what I do is I would, if it's all clean, just nothing but dirt there, I would scoop that into a little sifter, and I'd shake that, and then it'd be just clean dirt, and I would add that to my clean dirt. This is all for potting. This is all for, if I'm planting anything, I use this. If I buy topsoil, some potting mix, I put that all in there. Oh, sorry. I put that all in there, and I completely mix it, so that way it comes out pretty good, and I have a good solid material, and it's mixing really well, and this does really, really good with it. So I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money on something fancy on a compost bin. The benefit of it, you get to spin it, but with $40 extra, I mean, you could buy, I'm thinking about buying 2 more compost bins, because they fill up fast. I mean, you cut grass, you rake the leaves. We have a bunch of Spanish moss. We make coffee every day, so the coffee grounds go in there. Also, you could get, you call different coffee companies, coffee places, say, hey, can I come by and pick up your coffee grounds? Starbucks, especially Starbucks, but just many different coffee places you could call and see if they'll save a few bags for you, and that will fill up your bin. You don't want to have all of the same things. You do want to mix it. Another great idea is buy a shredder, a paper shredder. You get a lot of junk mail. I know a lot of people are a little worried about maybe the toxic from the inks. No, it's shredded. It's so little compared to everything else you add into there. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be such a big deal. Sorry if I offend you if you're into that, if you're worried about that. But if you're worried about it, don't do it. I find a way to recycle paper. Instead of just throwing it away, I shred it, add it to my compost, and it's going to take a while. And that's why I leave it I have a little concrete pad over here with the sun. And because it's black, the sun, it heats up really big. I water it every once in a while. It's gonna smell. That's why I kind of have it a little bit away from the house. Then after a while, once it starts getting darker, it kind of has a sweet, good smell to it, like a good soil smell. And that's kind of when you know it's ready to be used. And the way I've used it so far, I just cleared out a land. I dug, I till it, and then I put that in there, and then I kind of till that in there, and then I put a covering on, kind of like what I have for my sunflowers, but I think my sunflowers kind of didn't go so well there. But yeah, that's pretty much what I would do. I will put the compost in there. and it'll help things grow really well. Another thing I do is pulling weeds. But here's the thing, instead of just putting weeds directly in there, because they will grow, I recommend pulling the weeds, letting the weeds dry out, and either feeding it to your chickens. But if you have weeds that's gone to seed, I wouldn't recommend putting it in the compost because it will produce seeds. Quite a few times we've had things grow from there. So keep in mind, seed stuff does grow in your compost. So if it has seeds, give it to your chickens. They do a better way of getting rid of those seeds so it doesn't grow. But pulling weeds is great. Grass clippings, leaves. I mean, if you have neighbors who are also gardeners, some people are not into composting. So, they have a banana tree. Instead of chopping and dropping it, they usually chop it and hand that stuff over to me. I give it to my chickens, and what they don't eat, I put in my compost. And it takes about a year, 6 months to a year, depending on what's in there and how long it's going to take to break down. The only thing I don't like putting in my compost is Spanish moss. I feel like it doesn't break down easily, and it kind of looks creepy. It looks like a nasty wig. After a year, even after a year later, it doesn't do so well. So I would try not to use Spanish moss as compost. But I would use it as mulch. It does really well with mulch. It keeps the soil moist, which it does a really good job at doing that. So even when you're, pruning your plants, save all those. Either two things you could do when you prune your plants, you could put those right on the soil, which is really good for the plants, or throw that in your compost. And every time you put something in your compost, don't forget to aerate it out. And like I said, you put this inside the compost bin, you twist it down as deep as you can, and you pull up. It makes it really easy, and you'll see your compost will fill up really high. Little bugs, don't be creeped out by it. Little bugs will come in there, worms will come in there, and they'll just start breaking everything down. And then you'll see it'll fill up to the top, and then it'll just drop halfway. And then you add stuff to it, you twist it, you aerate it, it'll fill up to the top, and then it'll keep coming down. So, and you keep doing that I think to me it takes about a year for it to fully get to the top, and it won't come down anymore. It's just nothing but really good soil. And you're gonna get the same thing if you have one of those fancy ones where you spend. It's not gonna be any different. You're just paying extra for it. And with this one, I'm able to have natural bugs that just come into it, and then what's cool, if you have chickens, let your chickens out, they'll hang around that compost area. They will stay away from your plants, and they'll run all to the compost area and start eating up all those compost, all the compost bugs. So that's a good thing about it, and you get to save a lot of things. I mean, I would do cardboard boxes. I try to save all my cardboard boxes that we order from Amazon. I throw out the tape, and I try to put that down as well to kill the grass and to enrich the soil, and then put mulch over it. And then if the cardboard hasn't really broken down so much, I would at least put the compost over it. So there's many things you could recycle in your yard and put in there. If you're making barbecue, that coal, the ash, throw it in your compost. If you have cardboard boxes, if you don't want to put on the ground, rip it up, you put in a compost, and you'll see within I'd say a couple of weeks, they break down really easy. A couple of weeks to maybe a few months, they'll probably break down depending on how much you put in there. Now, of course, I won't put in wax. If you got any cardboard boxes that has produce, some of them have wax on them. I won't compost those because that won't really break down. Or if it's those printer boxes that has those ink, that has all ink, I won't put that in there. I just throw those away. Usually just a plain old brown cardboard box that you get from Amazon. I would put that in the compost box. So hopefully you learned something. I really want you to go out and compost. Buy one of these bins if you're into gardening, and you're gonna see how much you throw out that is organic waste that you could actually be saving. And if you're one of these people who are really into, saving the planet or whatnot, or really, that green earth people type of people, you would see that, hey, you're saving, you're wasting less. Majority of our trash, we now throw away less things. And we could get trash to pick up every other week by how least of stuff that we throw out. And I think if more people do that, there'll be definitely less waste, and they could, over time, the soil that you have in your yard starts to drain off. The rain pushes the sand away. It just keeps going down. So you could actually create a really good soil if you just kind of recycle your organic goods. The only things I don't put in there is meat. I don't put any meats or cheese, any animal byproducts. I don't put that in there. But anything that grows, anything that came from a tree or plant, banana peelings, all that type of stuff, I put in the compost. And paper. Paper works really well. You do that, and you will see within time. Just be patient, have it on the side, and it will take care of itself. So hopefully I motivate you to create your own soil for free. It is with time, but you're going to be creating really good, healthy soil. And make sure you drill holes in it, though. You need to have air needs to go in. It needs to drain that liquid. If you could catch the liquid, that's perfect. That'll be called compost soup, and that's like pure fertilizer. You could put a little faucet thing on the bottom and collect it. When I get my new ones, I'll do that to the other ones, the new ones. The ones I have already kind of drilled a bunch of holes in the bottom. But wherever I lay my compost, that surrounding area, it is prime gold soil. It's really good. So just keep in mind, if your plants need that, instead of buying a bunch of chemicals for your plants, you could create really nice fertilizer and just by letting things naturally break down. So thank you for watching. Again, this is my 5th goodbye. Hope you enjoy this video. Please subscribe and post a comment on what you think below. Have a good one.